Has the banking crisis of 2024 already started? Michael Snyder reports. We were warned that more banks would soon be getting into deep trouble. In fact, just yesterday I told my readers to circle today, March 11, because that is when a very important Federal Reserve program that's been propping up our banks will be allowed to expire. Unfortunately, we did not even have to wait for today for the action to begin. On Wednesday morning, shares of New York Community Bank were absolutely crashing. Zero Hedge reported on the drama as it was unfolding. Once the darling of the small banking crisis comeback, New York Community Bancorp has crashed 45% to fresh 30-year lows after Wall Street Journal reports the bank is seeking to raise equity capital in a bid to shore up confidence in the troubled regional lender. And according to people familiar with the matter, NYCB has dispatched bankers to gauge investors' interest in buying stock in the company. There's no guarantee there will be a deal or that one would succeed in addressing the bank's challenges, which as of Wednesday morning had led to a roughly 80% decline in its stock price since January. As January began, shares of New York Community Bank were selling for more than $10. At one point on Wednesday, they were trading for less than $2. So why is New York Community Bank in so much trouble? Well, we're being told it's because the quality of its commercial real estate loans soared. The bank has faced a crisis in recent months after the quality of its commercial real estate loans soured, and ratings agencies downgraded its credit status to junk. Yes, junk. Companies are giving up on offices and downtown retail spaces after COVID normalized working from home and catalyzed the decline of downtown shopping. That left the owners of commercial buildings unable to pay lenders like NYCB. Some 16% of its loans are for commercial real estate acquisition, development, and construction. In other words, New York Community Bank is sitting on a mountain of bad commercial real estate loans. For a long time, I've been telling my readers that we're going to experience the greatest commercial real estate crisis in U.S. history. And now we have reached a stage where nobody can deny what's happening. In fact, billionaire real estate investor Barry Sternlicht says that there will be $1 trillion in losses on U.S. office properties. There are growing signs that commercial real estate is in serious trouble. Barry Sternlicht, a billionaire real estate investor and Starwood Capital CEO, recently predicted a $1 trillion of losses in office properties alone. More than $900 billion, or 20% plus of the total debt owed to on U.S. commercial and multifamily real estate, will mature this year. Bloomberg reported this week, and borrowers may have no choice but to refinance at much higher interest rates or sell their properties at a big discount. We have never seen anything like this before, and it's going to have enormous implications for the financial markets. According to Bloomberg, in recent weeks, bond investors have punished banks with heavy exposure to commercial real estate. Bond investors have punished banks with heavy exposure to commercial real estate, potentially adding even more pressure to the lenders' profits as Wall Street scrambles to assess how widely pain in property debt will spread through the financial system. Sadly, what we have witnessed so far is just the beginning. Hundreds of banks all over the nation are drowning in bad commercial real estate loans, and the carnage is going to be immense. But for the moment, there is some good news. Somehow, New York Community Bank has been able to locate rubes that are willing to inject $1 billion into the troubled financial institution. Shares in New York Community Bank soared this afternoon after the struggling lender announced a $1 billion capital raise and new leadership. The new NYCB agreed to a deal with several investment firms in exchange for equity in the regional bank, it announced on Wednesday afternoon. And those firms include Hudson Bay Capital, Reverence Capital Partners, and Liberty Strategic Capital, headed by former U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. And this will it be enough to save New York Community Bank, though? From a short-term perspective, I think that it will help, but in the long run, I do not think that New York Community Bank will survive. Of course, the same thing could be said about hundreds of other U.S. banks. In fact, as I discussed yesterday, Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank fame is convinced that thousands of U.S. banks will fail during the years ahead. Meanwhile, trouble signs continue to erupt for the economy as a whole. According to the survey that was recently conducted by Resume Builder, 38% of U.S. business leaders expect their companies to conduct layoffs in 2024. 2024 is already looking grim, and it's only February. He said at that time, 38% of business leaders surveyed by Resume Builder think layoffs are likely at their companies this year, and around half say their companies will implement a hiring freeze. Resume Builder talked to around 900 leaders at organizations with more than 10 employees. Half of those surveyed cited concerns about a recession as a reason. Another major factor, artificial intelligence. Around 4 in 10 respondents say they will conduct layoffs as they replace workers with AI, with Dropbox, Google, and IBM have already announced job cuts for that very reason. By pumping trillions upon trillions of dollars into the system, those running things were able to keep the economy propped up for a while, but in the process they created a tremendous amount of inflation, and now the inevitable implosion is coming anyway. The U.S. economy is in far more trouble than most people realize. We're going to be entering a period of great economic turmoil, just as the most chaotic election season in U.S. history rattles the very foundations of our society. So I hope that you have been enjoying the lull that we have been experiencing during the early portion of this year, because things will certainly get very interesting in the months ahead. This is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. About the author, Michael Snyder's extremely controversial new book entitled Chaos is available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon.com. He's also written 7 other books that are available on Amazon, including End Time, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News. And he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on the other websites. You can connect with Michael on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and share his articles on your own social media account is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us in Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Please kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.